Welcome back, everyone. LanceScurv here with another deep, introspective dive into human nature. And today we're going to talk about when we start to consider marrying a person, right? And this is for both sexes. This is for women who are considering marrying a man, and for the men considering marrying a woman. So I may seem as though I'm talking about women, but I'm a man, so I see it that way. Just as if you were a woman doing that topic, you'd speak it in a way as a woman looking to marry a man and the advice that comes subsequently afterward, okay? So don't think I'm being sexist if I speak about women. It's the same men from your side, okay? I can't speak from any other sex, but these perspectives are equally for both, right? But the thing is, in marriage, we don't understand sometimes, let's be real. We get with somebody, we date them, we end up having sex with them, we get our mind blown, we end up seeing what a person has, and we envision a life with them because of what they have. It's just human nature. It's like, okay, I'm not going to have to worry. This goes for men and women, right? But then there's those economic pressures, the absent fathers and mothers that were not in the lives of their potential mate, family loyalty, which can encroach on your union if you are married. They may be into the church culture and their survival habits. What they've learned coming up. Did they grow up poor? Did they grow up affluent? Do they know how to be frugal if need be? Were they spoiled? There's so many things that we do not consider. And it's no wonder that the divorce rate is high, because we don't cross the T's and dot the I's when we get with somebody, especially when they're putting their best foot forward. You see what I mean? That's what it is. And when you take a look at the actual banner, you didn't just marry them, you married everything they never told you, because they want to put their best foot forward. You're marrying into a whole family. You aren't just marrying a person, you're marrying their whole family. And everyone says, I'm marrying him or I'm marrying her. But that's only partially true. You're also marrying the way the person's family handles conflict, money, communication, forgiveness, holidays, boundaries, and loyalty. What if? Or if dysfunction is considered normal in their family, don't expect marriage to magically change it. Because, before you marry someone, pay close attention to the people who raised them, because that's the environment that shaped them. So you have to do detective work, not by asking, because, see, a dysfunctional person or a person who was raised in a dysfunctional environment, that's normal to them. But then if you ask them about certain dynamics that you may notice in that dysfunctional environment that they were raised in, they become magic converters of dysfunction into normalcy, and they'll give you the right answer. But what's your knee-jerk reaction? It's like a fighter who was a slugger, who had no boxing technique at all, and he rushes in throwing wild punches, but he gets a new trainer who teaches him how to box. So now he's in the gym, hitting bags that don't hit back, and he looks good, like, wow, he has a new style. But then he gets into the ring now, finally for the fight, and gets hit real hard. He forgets everything that he was recently taught, and he goes back to the default fighter, slugger that he was. And this is what happens when pressure goes on in marriages, and the facade and the mask quickly falls off, and what you suspected was there, and what you can see was in the family, it goes back to that, and you can't get away from that. So you got to be careful, and you got to take time with this. It's glorious when you think you found somebody who was the perfect mate. And we know nobody's perfect. And we know as people, as adults, and you're not delusional, that, yeah, we dress things up. A person sells a house, what do? There's a slight crack in the foundation, which may alert you to the fact that there's major work to be done. But they take a little concrete and they paint the foundation of the house and it looks perfect. And you don't find out till 2 or 3 years later when that crack reveals itself again. So you have to look past the facade. And you know what? What I've seen many times, those dysfunctional families, when they see that there's a potential mate, a potential husband or a potential wife coming into the family fray, because you will be an in-law, and they will try to make you feel welcome, but they're also going to hide the cracks in their foundation. It's all one big act. I'm not saying with every family, but those who are dysfunctional, yes, you will get along with everybody and you'll say, man, not only is this mate of mine, potential mate, whether it's male or female, I'm not going to keep saying that, male or female. You understand how I'm speaking, right? I'll say woman, that potential woman that you're going to get with, the whole family is on their best behavior. They're hiding the cracks in their foundation because you'll have infighting between family members. And so you'll get married to this person. And now, since both of those family members who are at war with each other and they have their idiosyncrasies with each other, you're going to have to choose sides now because you're locked in, you're married. Of course, you can get divorced. And eventually, if things aren't rectified between you and your mate, or those problems addressed that you didn't know were there, it's going to end up where, listen, you'll say to yourself, I don't have to deal with these family issues. This is their stuff. Why am I bearing the weight of this foolishness? That's their stuff. And the funny part about it is, when you marry into families that already have their infighting going on and their gripes, when you talk good with the person who is at war with other family members, the other family members are not going to like you. Isn't that something? And they will blame you for all of that person's transgressions before you were even there. You will have people in those families who have had mental illness, not where they're walking up and down, acting crazy or walking around their butt out or digging up their nose or just, acting weird, crazy. No, they'll hold down jobs, run good businesses, whatever. But you didn't know that they had mental issues and they're taking medication and, potentially suicidal and all of this stuff. And then now they will unleash a delusional hatred toward you because you being a good man or good woman, you will remind them of the hatred that they had for either one of their parents. I'm just picking a few things out of the sky. And you'll get the brunt of it. You'll have family members who, of course, there's brothers and sisters, possibly, but I'm going to put you on to something else that I observed in some of these situations. You'll have, say, a brother of the woman you're marrying, or a sister of the man you're marrying, right? And they will hate your union secretly because their sister or brother is such an exemplary, dynamic individual, a really great catch on their own, except they're attached to this dysfunctional family. You have those situations also, that they don't really carry the dysfunction. And since that brother or sister knows that, they're jealous of you for marrying their sister or brother because they can never find a mate like them. It's not an incestuous feeling. They're not feeling sexual toward their brother or sister, but they feel you're taking something away from them, even though they have a brother or sister relationship. Now you have this good person that you're connected to, and they don't have as much access as far as just popping up on them or, saying, come on, let's go away for a while, 2 or 3 days here, whatever. No, they're married to you. And they feel like you took something away from them. And when they come to visit you, they see how clean the house is. They see the wonderful meals that you're eating, that they may have had a little more proximity to if they visited them and can eat whatever. And they still could. But the fact that you're married to them and getting this treatment 24/7 They are jealous that you're getting treated like $1,000,000 and they can't find somebody who is like their brother or sister. It's the truth. Jealousy that you married their brother or sister because now you're living a charmed life and they still have their hang-ups with their family. And you are a vent. You are a covering for your husband or wife out of the family dysfunction, and they don't like it, but they'll smile and grin and bear it and hold it for years. And they'll jump from one marriage to the next, one relationship to the next, one fling to the next, and can never find the satisfaction and peace that you have when they come to the home of their sister or brother who you're married to. Watch for that. And it's hard to see the cracks in that foundation because they will smile with you and encourage you and say all the right things at your wedding. But you don't know what's waiting for you. Now, I'm not trying to demonize families. I'm just telling you. And the reason why I'm doing this point or this particular topic is because several people within the last 2 months have come to me and said, well, Lance, what do you think I should look out for? And I had this whole conversation with them 3 times. So I said, let me put this out here. So it's not directed at anybody out there. A lot has been shared with me in the 25 years that I've been online. And I never, ever will reveal by name or by exact situation by saying, well, this person lived in Louisiana or this person lived in Chicago. No, I don't want to give any indication because if somebody hears it, they'll say, oh, this is so similar to my situation. He told. No, I don't do that. I don't secretly record conversations and put stuff out there. But I'll ask them, I say, well, listen, would you feel funny if I talk about this as a topic? They say, well, as long as you keep me anonymous, it's no problem. So that's how I get down. So for those who want to talk about something, you let me know. My number is there. It's all over the place. We can talk about something publicly or anonymously. But that's how that goes. You're marrying the whole family, not just the person. Understand, every family has secrets. Find out what they are before you say I do. Understand every family has something they don't discuss. The question isn't whether secrets exist. The question is whether those secrets will eventually become your problem. Hidden addictions, criminal histories, untreated mental illness, abuse, long-standing family feuds, hidden children, or financial disasters have a way of revealing themselves after the honeymoon. Love should never require you to ignore red flags. And I'm going to pick a bone with many of you. Many of you do ignore the red flags and want to come and complain after it. No. Look for the red flags. They're there. They come to you, your gut feeling, your discernment, address it. Not in a confrontational way, but even before you say anything. Observe. Look for the rhythm. Is it 3, 5, 7, 9, and you know it's 11? Is it 2, 4, 6, 8, and you know it's 10? It doesn't change. And look how the other family members reflect one of the family members' potential issues. It will tell you, look, you know the sun exists because the moon exists because the sun shines on the moon and reflects back moonlight. You don't see the sun at night, but you see the moon, which is a testimony that the sun exists. So when you have those uncomfortable moments that you observe at a family dinner or an impromptu family dinner when you're over there with your potential mate's family, when they cut the conversation short or one family member gives a look to the other one that they're talking too much, what were they talking about? Did they do the 2, 4, 6, 8 thing and you know that 10 is coming afterward? That requires investigation. Doesn't mean you're going to confront your potential mate in a harsh, aggressive way, but you will maybe allude to it in an indirect way so they can open up or ask them how they feel about a potential situation. But the red flags, you cannot ignore. Don't let sex blow your mind. If you are having sex before the marriage, don't let that blow your mind. That has a way of, oh, this was so, oh God, she did it so good to me. I gotta have this. Oh, look at that body. Oh my God, she takes good care of herself. Man, and you're gonna, look, it's not worth it. Let me tell you, it's not worth it. Because when you're going through drama, in other families, this dysfunction, and it's raining and crashing down in your world, you won't even feel that thing that she does or he does to you. It'll be something that's a mockery to you, and you'll be mad. You know, it won't be like makeup sex. You're mad, you're pissed. You know what I mean? You fall and bust your mouth. Are you looking forward to your favorite ice cream cone? No, my mouth is hurting, man. Get that away from me. I'll have that another time. That's the last thing on my mind. You see what I mean? So you got to be careful of those secrets. You know, the hidden cracks in the foundation. I'll probably say that the whole daggone presentation as long as this lasts. But you got to be careful because, again, like I said, hidden addictions, criminal histories, untreated mental illness, abuse, long-standing family feuds, hidden children, or financial disasters. You may have a brother-in-law who is a pastor, but he's also a philanderer. And you didn't know this. You're treating him like he's a holy man, right? But the family knows he screws around, and the family knows he's got a couple children out there, and they work hard to protect his facade. You see what I mean? In the dysfunctional families, it doesn't always mean they're at war with each other. They can all be protecting something that you may not go along with. You might not be the whistleblower, but it's like, damn, I thought they were upright. I thought they were upfront with me, right? They want to know about you. They don't want you abusing their sister, brother, or child, right? But you want to make sure that you're not put into a situation where you have to go along to get along, because you're the new ingredient into the soup that they are. You know, that soup has been cooking for a while, marinating for a while, and you're coming into a situation where you don't know the unwritten rules of the game, right? And you never marry someone you don't truly know. Dating isn't knowing someone. Many people only know the version of a person that was carefully presented to them. Real character shows itself under pressure, disappointment, financial stress, sickness, and conflict. Don't marry someone's representative. Spend enough time together to meet the real person. And that takes time. And for one person, it might take 6 months. For another person, it might take 3 or 4 years. But do you want to wait around for 3 or 4 years? This is why you can't wait for them to tell you, right, who they are. They have to show you. And you have to see how they handle situations in their own life. If they're low on money and broke, of course you want to help them. But how are they handling this thing? See, if you're sick, if now you may be diagnosed with something that's really bad, are they going to stick by you? Or they're going to want to run? Conflicts. Maybe their mother doesn't like you. And it's because of her own. And just like I said, you'll have family members who don't like the fact that you have a happy marriage. You have mothers out here who don't like the fact that their daughters or their sons are going to get with somebody who treats them well. Why? Because sometimes that mother has married that son or daughter. I don't mean anything sicko or incestuous, but they like it when that child of theirs that's grown now and can make their own decisions is part of their world. You have mothers who coddle their daughters all their life and like the fact that, well, my daughter lives with me and she's 40 years old, and almost makes it impossible by the way that mother has wired the mind of that daughter or son simply to keep them away from relationships because nobody else is good for you. They're not good enough. But I get the benefit of having your company because my marriage was jacked up, my life was jacked up, and I'm bitter. And bitterness is transferable in a very subtle way that the child who is grown now, who wants to get married, doesn't know is sabotaging that relationship. And when things don't work out, that mother is, and the father too, but it's mainly those mothers. The dysfunctional ones, not all mothers, because most mothers want to look out for their child. But those who don't really want that child away from them, they maintain pushing the childlike self in the grown child, so they get scared of branching out and really getting with somebody, to make them feel guilty that they're leaving their mother. They're not leaving the relationship of the mother and daughter or the mother and son, but they make them feel that way. And so that mate will be sabotaged even before anything happens. They can't have their own life. They're living through their mother or father's bitterness. So that mother or father may welcome you and act like they like you and might actually like you, but ultimately they don't want you to go the full way. The more they like you is the more they'll hate you. You don't like you at first, but then they'll say to themselves, not that they want to do anything with you or have anything with you. They're the mother. And let me tell you something. There are some mothers out here these days, and we'll talk about that on another episode, who see that daughter's man. I don't care how old and wrinkly they are. They fantasize about that man. Like, whoa, if only I had somebody like this back in the day. Whoa. It will end there lots of times. But after that, oh, I think he's looking at me a certain way. I wouldn't want to hurt my daughter, but I know he wants me. They'll tell themselves this stuff. And I've seen situations like this. The mama damn near 70 years old, and the daughter's 30 or 35. And the man might be 40. And then the mother, over time, will begin to get a little flirtatious under the radar where the man can't really tell. But if he's a no good horny dog, he's going to pick up on that. And it's only a matter of time before he's in the mama's bed as he plans to marry her daughter. Because you have some mothers who are in a silent competition with the daughter. And with the younger generation where they're having kids younger. A woman had her daughter when she was 15, so now she's 30. Or when she was 15, now the daughter's 15, she's 30. Now the daughter's 20 years old, and she's 35 and well kept. And the 20-year-old daughter is dating somebody 25. Well, that mama might be after you too, because a lot of mamas go to the club with their daughters, and it ain't just to show off. It's to catch a man. And usually, and that's a whole other topic, but I had to explain how deep this thing can go. From siblings being jealous and mad that you married their brother or sister because they know they're a good person and you're living good. Well, mamas do the same thing too. And fathers. There are a lot of fathers who check out the son's a potential mate that they want to marry. Damn, she looked good, man. Back in the day, if I had a chance. Yeah, you're saying that, and it's not really back in the day. You're saying that as cover to your buddy who you spill all your secrets to, but you know good and damn well, if she was on that bed, bent over, back arch, face down, ass up, you'd be right there, pumping away. Don't lie to yourself. People are so dysfunctional, I'm telling you. Love cannot survive a double life. Ooh, child. One of the greatest betrayals isn't necessarily cheating. It's discovering that the person you married has been living an entirely, drum roll please, entirely different life than the one they presented. Whether it's hidden relationships, concealed, down low sexual orientation, gambling, pornography, substance abuse, secret debt, or another family. Deception destroys trust. Understand that. Marriage requires honesty, not performance. And a lot of time we get with people who are performing. And I'll frame it this way, because as much as we focus, especially in the Black community, on down low men who are married and using their wives as a beard, a shield, they play the role good, but they're not really into that woman. He may perform making love to her just to keep her what he may think is satisfaction or in a state of satisfaction. But if you're not all the way there, she's not going to be satisfied, right? Your mind is on that man or whatever man you can get, and you're not enjoying the body of that woman that you're married to. And it's not just about the body, but look, let me tell you something. Intelligence and grace and being compassionate, those are attributes that make you warm up to a person. But when you see that backside bent over in the bed, you ain't thinking about that. But how are you going to be with your wife doing that and you're thinking about the dude who you were hitting or who's hitting you? And like I said, it could be secret debt, substance abuse, another family, right? It could be anything. Pornographic addiction, anything, hidden relationships. But the one that hits home, that's really confusing. And don't say, well, Lance, you're picking on that and you're not getting in on the secret gambling addiction that can make it where they lose their home because you didn't pay the mortgage. Yes, but the one that stabs the most is when the man who you're kissing is sucking another man's penis. And you thinking, he's kissing me. His mouth is dirty. I didn't want the next man's sperm in my mouth. Look, secret relationships can go, I'm gonna tell you something very disgusting. So if you don't wanna hear something disgusting and you're eating or there are children in the room, I can't even keep this like rated G, all of this. I have to talk about it. We have to talk about these things. I knew a brother who was seeing a woman. They weren't planning marriage, but this is to show you how deceptive people can be. She was all over the place with different men. He knew of her history this way, but with each man that she dealt with, and we knew multiple men that she dealt with. Well, how do you know this with this woman? She had a gym membership. I won't say as much. Well, I can, but I'm not gonna go that far. She's deceased right now. She damn near slept with 90% of the men that she came in contact with. That's a whole lot. We believe she died from the monster, the HIV, right? AIDS. But this brother, who was real cool with me, and this is how I found out, he didn't think that she was seeing anybody else. Well, I'm gonna say it in a decent way and you can use your imagination. She drove to his house and they were officially seeing each other, although the word wasn't put out there that, yes, this is my man, this is my woman. We saw them together like we saw secretly the 10 men that she was with before in the same gym. So they were real tight. Now, you know when you're real tight with somebody, you're getting along and sexually things are going good and you're hanging out and, you know, you can bend the rules a little bit. I mean, a man who, and they weren't married, I'm just saying it this way. A man who's married to a woman and the woman knows he's providing for me, he's faithful to me, and he'll do anything for me, and he keeps me living well. And I feel so secure and protected in this relationship. And he has to go to work and he only has 15 minutes. And he wants a little quick head or you to, you know, bend over a little bit and catch it, and he wants a little relief that way. You don't mind because you know that he is fully invested in you. As a woman, that's the way it is, right? Not something where he's abusing you and using you, but you're glad to give it to him any way he wants. Well, this is how he felt toward her. And even though he had a hint and knew, we all knew how she was around, but she acted different. But this is the way she got around with everybody. Like, I'm really into you type thing, right? She drove up. She came all the way from where she lived, which wasn't close. She drove up and she wanted to feel oral. We'll just say oral, right? Right there in the car. And they jumped in the back seat because he didn't have his own apartment. He was still living with family. You know, it's a long story, but he was a great guy. He was a good guy. He worked and everything. So anyway, he didn't have any problem. The windows were tinted and where they were parked was extremely dark right in his neighborhood. So he jumped in the back seat with her. And he did the neck and the breast and down to the stomach. He took his time. He got down there. He started going to work, you know, and then he went down a little lower to the vajayjay because, you know, his tongue was hitting that clit like a boxer hitting a speed bag. She was in heaven. But he quickly discovered that her juices were really thick. And the juices tasted different. Wouldn't you know, this woman came over there, not demanding it, but acting like she was so hot and horny and wanted to feel oral to the point of a climax. I was about to say complex. I don't know why I said that. But a climax, and she just finished raw dogging it with the next man who emptied out inside of her. And she brought it to him faster than a delivery of a pizza from Pizza Hut, fresh out of the oven. And he's going to town and thinking she's so turned on, and swallowed it up and realizing, hey. And he realized he wasn't violent. Brothers, tell me, I'm not advocating violence, but if that was done, I know a lot of you might have smacked somebody. The best thing is to walk away, right? Because that woman is crazy. And she really had paranoid, schizophrenic things going on. We know her well. We found out this is, 30 years ago? 35, 40 years ago? 40 years ago? Woo! And the saga continued with that. And those who know me know exactly who I'm talking about, because maybe some of you all have dealt with her. But that was like the worst. Maybe I wouldn't have known that if I didn't know him real close, because he called me and told me. He was done with her. He was done. Who wouldn't be done with that? There's some guys out here who, they can be simped out and still, and some guys like that. That's a different, that's a different issue. That's a different topic. With human nature, there's so many different things that we can talk about. But yeah, that concealed sexual orientation is a big thing. And I have to say, just as much as the media focuses on down low men, with white folks, that's always been going on. And I guess it has been going on to a degree in the Black community, but I feel that with the emasculation of Black men in the media and men who just gave up on trying to be whatever, and with the brainwashing and the molestation, not that I'm saying being molested makes you have gay tendencies, but it does happen. And there's a percentage of those who go back to their first experience, even if it was with a child, as a child, not with a child, but as a child. And that's in their wiring. All right. There are things that happened with my older cousin when I was 5 years old and she was in her 30s that she had me doing to her, top, bottom, front, and back, that has affected me on things I like. Some things you naturally like, but then you have certain fetishes that come out of that. But I thought it was something that didn't bother me, and it didn't really bother me, but it wired me a certain way. And it hasn't been a problem, but it has caused other issues that I had to go up under the hood and rewire. Where some people would say, well, you was 5 years old and you were a child, but that was a woman. No, it's still wrong. And that happens a lot too. So we got to consider that. But all the other things I said about the double life, hiding a gambling addiction, a porno addiction, debts, secret debts, and substance abuse. You know how many crackheads are out there where the mate doesn't know that they're a crackhead, but bills stop getting paid, money disappears, or things get stolen. Yeah, it's not stolen. You used it to get high. And the things that people do to get high. You have married women that go out there in the street and prostitute themselves on the low and in passing to get that crack money so nothing comes out of the bank account to look suspicious. We can talk about unlimited things, right? That I've experienced and I've seen through other people's situations, right? Another point is how they handle money today is how they'll handle your future. Many couples discuss wedding colors more than they discuss finances. Credit scores, debt, spending habits, savings, investments, child support, tax problems, and financial goals should never be hidden. Marriage joins financial lives together. Financial irresponsibility can become emotional stress, and emotional stress often becomes marital conflict. You're marrying somebody, and you don't know how to handle money. You have to check that out too, because we have computers and we have the different ways of rating it, your credit score. You want their physical history to be verified as far as them not having any STDs or something they can pass on to you. Of course, that's very important too. But just as important is how they handle money, because they will suck you down irresponsibly and have you pulling more weight than anything else. And of course, righteously, you get married. Most wouldn't mind if both are pulling their weight, but one really gets sick. I mean, sick, something serious where they can't work, or they get into an accident, they can't work. You don't mind pulling the whole boat if you can, within reason. They didn't do this to themselves on purpose. Can you do that? That's not the same as financial irresponsibility, right? Because it's going to stress you in so many different ways. Even when you know that they can't help themselves and they're sick or had an accident, but they're physically good enough to make love to you, you're thinking about those bills now. You don't hate them because of the situation that they're in, because it's unfortunate, but you ain't thinking about how good it is to be with them. You're thinking about those bills first. And they may not understand, oh, you're not into me because I'm sick or I had this accident. That's not it. But can you do that? But you don't want to deal with the fact that they didn't tell you about the child support that they pay. You say, oh, great, they make 6 figures. But they pay so much for them 3 or 4 kids they have that maybe you didn't know that they had. And their check looks like they work in a fast food joint. Not to put down anybody who works in a fast food joint, right? But we know that money is not 6 figures. We know that money is not 6 figures, and it's less to work with. Oh, child, I saw what he makes, and he showed me his check, but he didn't show you what was being garnished out of it. That's just one example. I know of a person who they were with their mate, and somehow something came up where they had to go through the mate's credit. There was something they had to pay or some court situation, and they had to do a rundown of what they owed out so they can have a fair judgment in this situation, which the woman was okay with the fact that he had to pay child support. But she didn't know that he was paying child support from before, from just 2 or 3 years earlier for the next, I think it's 21 years in New York and 18 years in so many places. If you all are in different states, just for the sake of knowledge, what is it in your state, right? So you minus those 2 or 3 years. So if it's 18 years, you got 15 more years. And she's like, I didn't know you had children. I didn't know you were paying this amount out. He never told her. I don't believe they got married. It wasn't just that, but that type of deception opened the door for her to investigate more and find out more things, okay? So she definitely dodged a bullet. You see what I mean? So that's very, very important, how they handle money. It may be an uncomfortable conversation. A person may say, oh, well, you're nothing but a gold digger. No, don't let them tell that. Now, if you are a gold digger, well, you're gonna have to receive your punishment. But if you're not, and you're truly interested in raising a family, that's one of the foundations. Me, I'm a frugal person. It takes very little to keep me going, right? My hobby here of speaking online, of taking a pen and a pencil and drawing on a piece of paper and uploading it online, that don't cost no money. I got blank pads of paper, good drawing paper that I had from 15 years ago. They're in plastic, and if I need it, and probably those several pads will last me for the rest of my life. I bought a whole lot of pens with filler. It's a specific pen that I use, the Zebra F402 Fine Point, right? I'm so into it, I can tell you the pen that I use, right? So the food I eat, I'm eating in a special way right now. I want certain physical goals. It doesn't take me much. So I'm guaranteed to be not a burden in some secret way, right? But how many people can say that? And why don't you be upfront? But lots of times, We don't want to be upfront with every little thing we're hiding because we don't want to scare the person away. But when they find out we always knew about it and we're hiding it, that's more of a blow. Okay, I'm learning this. I don't like it. But what really hurts me is that you weren't upfront with me. And that's the problem on both sides, male and female, lots of times. Why do you think so many divorces are there? Because they never told you what they were hiding, or they never told you what they needed to work on in their lives. Like when you go for a job interview and they ask you all the good things, and they can see it in your work and employment record, right? And they ask you, what do you find in your character or in your life that you need to work on that affects your job performance? If you go and say, oh no, there's nothing. I work hard and I'm disciplined and I'm an excellent employee. You think you're giving yourself brownie points on that? That's for somebody else to say. You need to be open. In the past, I had a problem with being tardy. It's something I'm working on. And for the last couple of months, I've been waking up extra early, and there hasn't been a problem with my previous employer, and you can check that. Give them something. Let them know if there's nothing, then it's nothing. But don't hide something that they're going to find out about, right? And again, all these things I mentioned, maybe I'll go deeper into it, each one. Just let me know in the comment section, and I will take the time and break down through experience of things I've been through and things that I've seen within my proximity that were real. Not just stuff I heard about, but stuff I saw. Because I done seen a lot of sugar honey iced tea. Another point is that you can't heal someone who doesn't want to heal. Many people marry believing love will fix childhood trauma. Of course, love is powerful, but it isn't therapy. You can have those glowing moments of connection and support and feel that you can make a difference. But if someone refuses accountability, counseling, personal growth, or emotional healing before marriage, those unresolved issues usually become your daily burden afterward. Trust and believe. You can support healing, but you cannot become someone's savior. No matter how much you feel sorry for them, no matter how much you're willing to put energy into them, if they don't make an effort to make it happen, it ain't never going to happen. And guess what? Trauma is transferable. Trauma is transferable. You think it's their issue? Go marry them, live with them, and it will affect you. If they were violated when they were younger, unfortunately, right? And they never sought therapy for it, that's going to be a problem in your bedroom. They haven't healed from it? Well, you're going to have to deal with the wound of their neglect. Yes, childhood trauma, it's not their fault, but it's their fault if they don't want to acknowledge it and get the counseling and seek personal growth. So feeling sorry for them, it's removed because now it's in their hands. Do you want to get better, or are you going to hold on to this thing, denying it like it's not there, and it's just going to run you down? You ever walk with a pebble in your shoe and you were too lazy to take the shoe? You were with other people, you're all dressed up, and there's some tiny pebble in your shoe, hurting your foot, and you just smiling and talking, acting like it's not there. With every step, it's going to get worse. Trust and believe. With every step, it's going to get worse. Eventually, you're going to have to stop, take that shoe off, lean up against a wall that's clean. You don't want to lean up against a dirty wall or try to balance, which doesn't work because now you're going to step your sock down on the ground, which is not super clean either. You have to acknowledge it or it's going to get worse. And when you do deal with it, no matter how long it takes. Now, if you have a loving mate, if it takes years, I'm not saying if it takes 50 years, right? But if it takes a year or 2 or 3 to improve with regular therapy and you love this person and you can see the sun that's hidden behind the clouds of their trauma, to know that when those clouds are removed, you have a bright sunny day of a relationship. That's a beautiful thing, but you can't be their savior. You can guide them to the proper steps of healing, but they have to be the ones that, like when you lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. If they don't drink, that's a problem for you. And it's inconsiderate. It's inconsiderate for you to continue on with that denial. Oh, it's not going to affect us. She told me. Okay, pebble in the shoe. You'll find out. Pay attention to the people they keep around them. Remember I said the moon reflects the light of the sun, right? They will reflect the energy of those people who they keep around them. Because friends often reveal what a person values. If everyone around your future spouse encourages cheating, disrespect, irresponsibility, or constant drama, eventually that influence reaches your home, bar none. Healthy people usually build healthy circles. Toxic people usually normalize toxic environments. Now, I've had a lot of over-the-top experiences when I was younger, in my teens and 20s. And I have a lot of experiences to talk about on many decadent levels. Most of you know that. But I've sought to be better and improve myself. But I have friends who knew me from back then and might bring up something, not to throw it in my face, but we're talking about it. I'm brutally honest with myself, because if I wasn't, I'd be in a crazy house right now. And there are many people who have gone through some really bad situations that many of them didn't come back from. I've been through a lot of bad situations, and many of my friends have told me, like, I don't know, Lance, even up into the 90s of what you've been through in this life, back in the 1990s, you really should have lost your mind and went crazy. And we would know why. But here I am, 2026. I can deal with things and vent them out and deal in a healthy manner. Things happen, circumstances happen, losses happen, but I keep pushing. And this is what's given me, alongside with my upbringing, of how my parents constructed me, not just physically brought me into this world, but the environment that was nurturing and taught me a lot coming up from single-digit ages. Even when the thing happened with me and my older cousin that nobody knew about, older female cousin, you know, and it pre-wired me to be a freak. And I am a freak. Yes, I am. I have fetishes that are out there, but you know what? I'm cool with it. And most people coming up, they cool with it too, because they like it. Anyway, like I said, I'm transparent with myself and I'm honest with myself. But when you have these people around you or around your potential spouse, and they just living these lives, they may be undercover with what they do, but they're doing all kinds of dirt. Your potential spouse may keep in contact with them for nostalgic reasons. Maybe they grew up together for many years. Okay, you're not going to turn your back on them, but they're not going to be hanging out every weekend, and you know what they do. I'm speaking as a man now. Your potential mate may have 5 girlfriends that she hangs out with. Maybe they went to college together, grew up in the same neighborhood, went to the same schools, whatever. And they keep in contact. And every now and then they go for a trip to the Caribbean. And you know why her friends are going to the trip to the Caribbean. What is she doing going there? What do you think they're going to be doing? You think she's going to be goody two-shoes and sit up in a room? If she's trying to live this pristine life, she should not approve of these things as a grown woman who is committed to a man. You can have a phone call with them. You can even go out to the restaurant and eat with them. But go out for 2 weeks and leave you alone and they're just doing their thing with any man that's there, what you think is going to happen? Don't turn your eye to it and voice your opinion. Again, this is not just me speaking about women. It's for the women who are in these situations, speaking about the potential man. Again, I said, I'm not going to keep saying that. I'm not ragging women. I'm talking about things on both sides, right? And the thing is, you don't ignore your instincts because you're lonely. You see, loneliness has talked many people into marriages that wisdom would have rejected. And it's sad. Too many people marry because they're getting older, because family keeps asking questions, because they want children, or because everyone else is getting married. I know a lot of those. on both sides. But you never, never, ever allow desperation to silence discernment. Peace is better than a lifetime of unnecessary struggle. Struggle on many levels. Again, like I stated before, the double lives, the financial irresponsibilities, the overbearing families who feel they have some kind of gravitational pull on your marriage and what happens in your home, but you are now a separate entity. But it's not that cut and dry because there's still connections with family and how that spouse or potential spouse was raised. I mean, you ever go to a hotel room and the hotel manager didn't make sure that room was clean? And you pull back the bed sheets and that person who was responsible for cleaning the bed didn't see the condom that's wet in the bed? You don't want that. The same way you don't want to bring the stuff and trauma from the prior relationship. It will be there. But when you take possession, I'm not saying a spouse is a possession, but I'm just saying that to talk. When you take possession of this relationship, before you take possession, you need to inspect every aspect and deal with it. Even if you spot things and you see that there's a definite problem, you go down the list. You talk about these uncomfortable things so they don't manifest in your life and become an uncomfortable reality that will take a lot more to get out of. Especially when you're getting in fights, cops are called, lies are told. There's a lot of things that can happen. And you think back to when you first met them and everything was perfect. And you realize you walked into a situation that left you in a sorry state of affairs. Like I said, peace is better than a lifetime of unnecessary struggle. And so many people have wasted decades of their life. Meaning that even after you're married, there's a financial obligation or the children, or it takes years. And most people, I'm not gonna say all, kudos to you when you got with the person and it worked out. I know success stories. But you know what? Unfortunately, I know more stories that are tragic and their heart breaks. And it continues down the generations because the kids, if you have children, it's going to affect them too. It's a ripple effect that goes out. But I want to say also, marriage should multiply your peace, not your problems. Can we talk about that? Ask yourself one difficult question. Does this relationship consistently bring clarity, stability, honesty, growth, and peace? I'm going to say it again. Does this relationship consistently bring clarity, stability, honesty, growth, and peace? Or does it bring confusion, anxiety, constant drama, secrecy, manipulation, and emotional exhaustion? Just like the song that Cheryl Lynn sung, Coming from the Rain. And I believe it was on the other side of her hit back in the 70s, Got to Be Real. To be real, it's got to be real. It was a song, Coming from the Rain. And one of the lyrics in that song, it says, it's a long road when you're all alone. And someone just like you will always take the long way home. Why would you take the long way home? Because you're in a situation that brings confusion, anxiety, constant drama, secrecy, manipulation, and emotional exhaustion. Lots of people on your job. Say, for example, you work a law enforcement job or you work in a company that gives away a lot of overtime and you always volunteer for overtime. And you say, damn, they got a wife or a husband with kids at home, but they're always here working. Now, I'm not in their pockets, but I know they don't need all of that money. I mean, we all need money in the man-made system. It's because they don't want to be home. They'd rather have their time justified in saying to themselves, well, at least I'm making money and I'm getting away from that abuse, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, or a combination. You get the combination pack with some of these dysfunctional people where it's like, my God, they put on a good act. I didn't see any of the cracks in the foundation before I purchased this home. You see what I mean? But marriage won't eliminate those problems. In most cases, it magnifies whatever already exists. The right marriage doesn't create a perfect life, but it should create a stronger foundation for facing life together. It should be a plus. And if you have little issues, rectify them, correct them, right? You might buy a used car that the owner is upfront in telling you, well, I gotta tell you, 2 years ago we had to change the transmission. We have a slight leak over here, and we got into a collision where we did some body work on the rear panel on the back side, and you adjust the price accordingly. That person that you're about to marry should state everything they know, and you're supposed to look to detect it too, and negotiate whether this is something we can improve, or are we gonna both ignore it because the sex is good, or both ignore it because one spouse makes so much more money and that would make it easier on me. See, we hang our own selves thinking that we can ignore certain things. When you drive down that road in life together, and now you're stuck on the side of the road, who's to blame? When you knew there was a problem with that vehicle, when you knew there was a problem with that potential marriage, and you went in it anyway, thinking that you can ignore it, in that check engine light that comes on all the time of discernment, when you see something and ignore it, you have discernment for a reason. Why are you ignoring it? Now you find yourself in a sorry state of affairs that could have been avoided, and to a more or lesser degree, you're tied down with them. One of the worst things is when you're ready to leave the house, and say you're going to the gym and you have a drawstring that you tie up, but it was already tied up and knotted up. Now you have to unknot this thing. Or certain situations where you tie it up and you knotted it up and you forgot. Now you're at the mall and you got to go to the bathroom real bad, and you're like trying to unknot this thing and hold your stuff at the same time. What a frustrating feeling. But the bottom line is, and I'm going to go deeper and deeper on the individual aspects of this, because this is stuff I like to talk about. Real stuff, not just Hollywood gossip or distractions, but things that make you think. And maybe some things I said made you feel uncomfortable, but then that's good. Because if the shoes are too tight that you go into the shoe store to buy, you know you need to get another size up to have more space for your foot. That may be the only last pair left, and if you purchase it, you know what you're getting into. Tight shoes. You're going to grin and bear it, and you're not going to be comfortable. Too many of us spend more time researching a car than we do researching the person we're about to spend the rest of our lives with. We ask about horsepower before we ask about character. We check the vehicle history report, but never ask for the family history report. Marriage isn't just about love, it's about truth. It's about transparency. It's about peace. Before you marry someone's body, make sure you've gotten to know their mind, their habits, their values, their finances, their family, and their character. Because after the wedding, the masks usually come off. And once they come off, you're no longer dating potential. You're living with reality. I'm going to leave it at that. Let me hear your feedback on it. Maybe I was a little too long-winded, but I had to say what I had to say. And if there's any aspect of what I spoke on that you want me to focus on and go deeper, I can do it. I'm at the point in my life where I've pretty much experienced a whole lot. Personally, in observing friends, neighbors, strangers, co-workers, the whole nine. Working in the jail and the prison, talking to people about their issues. The people who call me up with certain issues, which my track record is clean. I don't talk about anybody's business. I may take a snippet here and there and create the mosaic that I present to you publicly. But if you share something with me or want me to talk about a topic, I will. And I will go in and I'm not holding back. Because in certain situations I spoke about, I had to deal with those things personally. So I dare you to come back and ask me to go in. And I'm not saying like a challenge, but there's no topic out there on the relationship human nature level that I will not talk about. And I'll give you my honest to God truth. Much love to you all. It's been enjoyable. I'm looking forward to hearing from you in the comments section or even directly. Send me a text. Send me a message. WhatsApp 407-590-0755. It's been very enjoyable. Thank you. LanceScurv out. On to the next one. Peace.